Hello! Welcome to Duncan Egg Bricks and to part 73 of my Hogwarts MOC series. Now today we are going to be taking a look at the stone tower building and the forbidden corridor, but first of all, after a comment on my previous video, I thought I'd just give you a quick look at how the roof of the grand staircase tower is built. Now I am using a brand new tripod, so bear with me while I just adjust it. Very smooth, very happy with how this is working. Might do a quick review on that in future. But anyway, here we are at the roof of the grand staircase tower. Now, the way I've designed this is basically based on the 2018 Hogwarts Great Hall set, but expanded and basically changed around as much as possible to make it work and look really good. So, for the corners here, we are using some plates and some wedge plates on hinges. If I actually take this off, you'll see that if you tap these in the wrong way or tilt it over or anything like that, these are actually movable. So basically, if I just pull this off, there we go, you can see that is just a clip connection, and inside there is a bar. Now that is attached to a 2 tall 1 wide bracket, which is actually set at a 45-degree angle. I don't know if you'll be able to pull that off and see. There you go, there's the bracket. And that's just sandwiched between a layer of plate on top and below with a 1x1 round brick inside. You can also see some colourful bricks inside there, and you should be able to see as well that these bits of the wall here are also held on by brackets, but they are at right angles to each other, and that should hopefully give you a good idea of what it looks like. So it can't actually go vertical, and these are 2x4 wedge plates, and they're just 3 of them in a line held on with plates on the back, and also some plates on the front as well, and they just rest against there. But as you can see, that goes a bit too far through. So what I've actually done is there's a couple of just 1x1 round plates on the back of here, if it'll focus, and a little bracket on the top to fill in the extra space. And what they do, if I can fix this all back in place without causing too much chaos, yeah, that seems to work. So you put this down, that clips in place, and then that just goes back, and there's 2 studs a little bit, those 2 studs and the bracket with the tile on top stop that in place there, and then these just fold in around it, and I'm just using these wedges at the top to kind of make the corner look a little bit neater. So it's not a perfect solution, as a couple of people pointed out, because it does mean you have this smooth section in the middle here, studs on there, and then it goes back up to smooth at the top. So in future I may change this to be smooth all over here, or I may actually change this section to be studded to match the stuff around it. Who knows? I will see where I go basically when I finish the rest of the castle. But anyway, enough of that. Let's move on to the next part of the castle, the forbidden corridor. Now, as this is another Hogwarts 2.0 build, this is a section of the castle that I built previously. In fact, it was one of the earliest sections that I built, and at that point I hadn't quite refined my techniques for various parts of the castle. So while some of this are going to look very similar, some of these features are going to look very similar, others are going to look more different from how they did before. So first of all, we've got this little walkway here which leads through the archway. So this comes from the grand staircase tower, which I still have on my desk just here. So those 2 line up nicely just there. You come around this path along here and through that doorway just there. Now, the flaming torches are exactly the same as they were before, and where we start to see the differences is actually with this tower on the end here. So this tower was previously using the larger 6x3 half cylinder piece for the lower part here, and then it was using the 4x4 quarter cylinder pieces, 2 of them, to make an 8 wide surface, 8 wide floor up above. And that was a solution I came up with just completely off the cuff, because I had no previous experience of building this kind of feature in the castle, and it was only ever used just here when I came to build the viaduct entrance building, and then when I actually built the rest of this courtyard that leads over towards the hospital wing and the clock tower, I used well, basically this technique again of using curved 1x2 slopes, and then they're actually just fixed to plates inside there. If I actually pull off the entire front section, you might be able to see at the bottom there is a 2x2 round jumper plate, and then that's a brick here, and then some brackets on the top there. I've actually just pulled off another bit of detailing underneath. It just goes back on like that. So that's basically how these curved sections are made, and they you know, they create quite a nice look, I think, overall. And like I said, the Viaduct entrance hall, entrance building, sorry, was built that way, as was the rest of the quad. So when I decided I wanted to go back and rebuild a bunch of stuff, it only made sense that I went ahead and built this using the same technique. So I do lose some of the little details I had. So I had overhanging brackets with curved slopes actually going in a different direction, and the little teeth piece in silver to kind of fill the gaps. So I have lost that, unfortunately. That has all been you know, taken apart and put back in the parts drawers, but I do think the consistency overall looks a lot nicer. We've also got this little tower off to the side, and this uses similar techniques to the Dumbledore's office towers in the Grand Staircase Tower, but also similar to the version that was here before. The only difference is I'm using one of these astromech bodies at the bottom rather than the inverted 2x2 round brick, the kind of dome piece, which was actually held in with an axle. I think that's how I used it in the previous part. But anyway, and then it continues round to the side along here, which it didn't do on the previous version. So I'm using a technique that I used in the diagonally opposite corner, where you've got these curved bricks and this curved plate here that go behind the cone, and that just gives the impression that the kind of roof continues in here and then goes in this direction. In reality, I think it would probably go into the cone and out, but can't do that with Lego. And yeah, the wall is here, and then it cuts off here, and I'm not building the bit in here. Maybe I will at some point in the future, but I haven't now. And then you go across here and you're into the Gryffindor common room and dormitory. So yeah, and the other slight change is to this. So I've made this consistent with the other parts of the quad as well. Previously, the roof slopes were one stud forward, so they were actually on top of these crenellations, but I do think it looks better like this. The things I have kept the same are this turret here and this chimney here. Absolutely no reason not to do that. And also this is now all studded along the top, which again matches the new part of the courtyard. And I did that because of this piece in the corner, which I needed in order to be able to hold these 1x2 curved bricks in. So I just decided to make it consistent overall and make it all studded. So obviously this is the forbidden corridor, but first of all I am just going to show you the non-forbidden part of it, and that'll also give a hint of one of the other Philosopher's Stone challenges. Do apologise for the lighting in here, by the way. I'd literally just started filming, and one of the 3 lights in the kind of triple light fixture that I've got in this room decided that it was just going to die. So I had to switch a couple of bulbs around, and I will be looking for another one tomorrow. So in the meantime, I've got slightly dimmer lights. I am on the lookout for some proper filming lights as well. It's slightly crazy that I haven't had any of those over the last, gosh, what is it now? 5 years? Been at this a while. Anyway, there's the other side of the doorway. You can see the back of my sig fig there, and you come through, and whereas in the other version you had a complete corridor that ran from end to end and actually went out here onto the stone bridge, that's all changed. You'll see that in a future update. Here the corridor just turns to the left and goes along here, and this is where you again come through to the main section of the Grand Staircase Tower right at the base, and then you can travel upwards. Inside here I have just put a brazier, that's my standard design, and then over here as well you might just be able to make out, though it's not liking it's focusing. There we go, we've just got a suit of armour. This is from the 2010 Hogwarts Castle. I think I have given him some new sword and shield combo, and he's just standing on a little plinth there. The reason the corridor ends, you've probably seen already, is that we have some plant life in here, and this is the beginnings of the Devil's Snare. So when I decided I was going to move the Forbidden Corridor, and when I realised that what I really wanted was for it to be up a couple of floors, obviously it's meant to be the 3rd floor corridor, so here in the UK, ground floor, 1st floor, 2nd floor, 3rd floor, so quite high up, rather than the ground floor, which is where it was previously. I suddenly thought, hang on, how am I going to have the Devil's Snare actually work? How is it going to be accessible? And the way that I hit upon it was actually having a 2-storey tall bit of Devil's Snare. So you've got this bit, which has no plate at the bottom, you'll see, and there's a corresponding bit below, which has no plate at the top. So it just makes a 2-floor high version or section, which just flows from one to the other with the trapdoor above, which you'll see in a second. And actually, structurally, it's completely fine. I was a little worried when I was designing it that things weren't going to work out there, but no, it's been absolutely fine. So, I'll take you around to the end. You've probably already caught a glimpse of what's behind the door, though it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. So here, of course, is the door to the Forbidden Corridor. I had to make it go outward just in terms of the available space, and I went with a brick-built solution because I wanted it to be 2 studs wide, though I have tried to keep it as faithful to the films as possible. So you've got some black black pieces there acting as the kind of banding and the hinges, and then a doorknob there with a hollow stud. So we swing the door open, and inside you can already catch a glimpse of Fluffy. So let's turn it around, stop mucking around, and see into the room. Now, this was an interesting one to design because obviously you're not working with a huge amount of space. It's not very deep. And I struggled for quite a while, especially digitally, to get enough space for Fluffy to fit in here. And he does, just. I've made a couple of changes to Fluffy, so I've swapped out those 1x2 modified plates with the ball joints in them, or the ball joint connectors, because they only come in grey, and I've swapped those out for some pieces that do come in brown. So you'll see we've here got a rounded plate with the bar on it, and then one of the Exoforce hands, and then the heads are actually connected. That's just popped off because of the angle it's at. And then the heads are connected using Technic pins with friction, which are still a relatively recent thing, and then hollow studs in brown, so that just goes on there. And I've done the same for all three heads. And yeah, Fluffy does fit in here. Sorry, the camera's having trouble focusing today. The Fluffy does fit in here, partly because I've used the arch there, so actually his third head just fits into the kind of shadows there. Obviously you can take him off, pose him, do whatever you like, but I think it looks decent like this, and also fits in with the display solution that I've chosen. So you come in, you face Fluffy. I know that in the film and in the book he's described as standing on the trapdoor, but due to the position of where the devil's snare needed to be in order for access to work through here, I've had to put it behind him. So you just got to imagine there's a bit more floor, or maybe he falls asleep and you climb over him or something like that. But anyway, once you get past him, you then have the harp at the back, and that is from the same set that Fluffy came in. I've just done a slight modification to the base to make it fit underneath this little bit of roof just here, which is pretty stable despite the fact that it's got nothing supporting it under here. And then of course we need the trapdoor, and I went with a tile and plate built solution rather than one of the one of the specific trapdoor pieces, just so it would fit in the right shape. So goes here and opens up, and you can see there's just a plate with a rail on it, and that just keeps it from falling through down below. And I've used a one ring as the ring pull on the trapdoor. So yeah, you pop that open, and yeah, it doesn't actually stay open, so maybe I need to figure a way of doing that. And then you jump down through there into the devil's snare and down into the dungeons of Hogwarts, where all the rest of the challenges are. So I will show you those in future updates. So the next few updates are all going to be the challenges as we go through the different sections of the castle, and then yeah, we'll finally have a finished version of the Philosopher's Stone challenges, which I did have previously, but because they were all squashed into the basement area, the dungeon area of the viaduct entrance building, they didn't really get the room they deserve, and that's going to be much better served being the potions classroom. So thank you very much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed. I should have the next few updates, which, as I said, will be the next challenges over the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you would like to see those. I do have one question, though. You can leave in a comment down below. One of the challenges that features in the book but doesn't feature in the film is Professor Quirrell's troll, which the trio don't really have to face, or actually it's only Harry and Hermione by that point. They don't really have to face because he's knocked it out already. And I didn't really feature that on my previous version, and I'm wondering what I should do for it. Now, there isn't enough space to have anything like the brand new mountain troll that came in the Great Hall set last year. There isn't really even space for the troll from the 2001 set, which I do have. So what should I use instead? I think I have asked this question before, or done it as a poll, but what should I use instead? Shall I use, I've got the Orc Warrior from the collectible minifigure set, I think that's the name of it. I'll put a picture up on screen. So I can use that, or I could try and get one of the minifigures from the original Trolls faction of Fantasy Castle. Again, I'll put a picture up on screen. Or the other option I did think of in the past is getting one of the horrific Trolls World Tour minifigures and using that. So yeah, let me know what you think. Either way, it's just going to be a minifigure that gets tucked in a corner and barely ever looked at again. But yeah, let me know, and by the time we get to that video, hopefully I will have made a decision and will be able to show it to you. So thank you very much for watching. Like I said, subscribe for future updates, give the video a like, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you again very soon.